want to welcome you here tonight. We're just a couple of minutes away from getting started. And before we do, I'll ask you to stand and join me in the pledge, and then Kobe Fulfer will bring the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day and for all of your many blessings. And Lord, I pray that over these next few moments that as leaders we would have wisdom and discernment and feel the weight of every decision that we make. And Lord, I thank you that we are the beneficiaries of all your great blessings on this city. In your Son's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joe. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's regular meeting of the Springdale City Council. This is Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. We do have large print agendas available if that would be of benefit to anyone in the room. And now I'll ask I'll ask Rose to call the roll.
Mayor Sprouse.
Here.
Rick Culver. Here. Jeff Watson. Here. Mike Overton.
Here.
Colby Fulfer.
Here.
Mike Lawson.
Here.
Rick Evans.
Here.
Jim Reed.
Here.
Kathy Jaycox. Ernest Kate.
Here.
All right, thank you. This is the portion of each meeting that the council sets aside to hear comments from our citizens. If we have residents that would like to address the council, you're welcome to come to the podium, clearly state your name and address. Please keep your comments brief and realize that the council won't take action on anything you have to say tonight. So is there anyone that would like to address the council concerning an item that is not already on tonight's agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Council, you've had an opportunity to look over those. If there are no changes or additions, I would entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
If none, so moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. What's your pleasure on procedural motions, council?
Second.
Motion is second for options A and B. Roll call, please.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
All right. Thank you. Item 7, a resolution making appointments to the Shiloh Museum Board of Trustees for the City of Springdale. Alan?
The resolution includes 3 new members, 7 returning members, and 5 who are in the middle of their terms.
Okay.
Read the title.
I did read it.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments or discussion? All right, Rose?
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And pass along our appreciation of those coming on to serve. Thank you. Item 8, Street and CIP Committee Report and Recommendations. Chairman Rick Evans. Rick?
We meeting last week of Street and CIP. We have 1 ordinance and 1 resolution on the agenda tonight, and both of them are brought from the committee with records for approval. The first one is an ordinance authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into a development agreement with Mercy Health Northwest for improvements to North 48th Street, Elm Springs Road, to authorize the expenditure of funds to waive competitive bidding and declare an emergency.
Move the ordinance be adopted. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Anybody in the audience on this? Okay.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Move the emergency clause be adopted.
Second.
Okay. I'm not trying to rush you.
Fulfer.
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Reed.
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Both the ordinance emergency clause carry 7-0.
Next, we have a resolution supporting the alignment for the Don Tyson's Parkway extension.
Move the resolution. Pass.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further comments or questions before I open it up to the audience?
I do.
Okay.
On the south of the proposed road, north of Western Trails, it's not taking any of their trail or any of their property, correct?
No, and it won't impact the trail.
Well, Are we gonna put a wall or something up to separate the highway and that?
I don't know about that. I see our ESI back there. Brian, what are some options there as far as impact on those properties to the south?
Yeah, Brian Moore with ESI. There's a multitude of options. You could do a wall, you could do a fence, you could do a multitude of other things. It'll just, be your pleasure when we get through
Final
the design
design.
process, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Other questions, council? I know there's some in the audience want to speak to this. You're welcome to come to the microphone this time.
Good evening. I'm Jerry Stamps, Western Trails, Springdale, Arkansas. Couple things that I have here is I looked over everything that was proposed. It's funny that alignment A is actually the proposal that's being asked, yet 12% of the popular vote or people's involvement of the half-mile radius said that they approved and liked alignment A. Exhibit alignment C, yet popular came out at 53.8%. Yet we're voting for alignment A at a 12%, so I can't understand that one.
Okay. We consulted with our engineers. We consult with our engineering staff. We look at the comments and the nature of those comments. Besides the comments, we also have to determine what's the best and safest road. What's going to be, because everybody's going to be traveling on that road, not just the people in the neighborhood, correct? So we've got a lot of things to consider, and all things considered, on balance, I thought that was the best proposal to bring forward after talking with the engineers and with our engineering staff, and considering all the comments, felt that A was the best, on balance, the best proposal to bring forward to the council to ask them to approve so that we can get the design going.
Yet as you read it in your paperwork and everything that you presented to the public, it states C was least objectable of all three options.
And I've just addressed that.
So a couple years ago, the city came through and put in a sewer system to take care of our Vesta Ballpark. Those lines run on a setback just north of Daring, where Western Trails and the south portion of, so it's like 20 feet from my setback. It's 20 feet, north of my property. What impact does that sewer have with this road going through at that point?
I don't know. I don't know I'm not sure I'm hearing the connection.
2 years ago, when you put the sewer through, there was no proposal for this highway or anything, and now you're going to go lay right over the top of it?
I guess that'll all be worked out in the design. I don't know where the sewer is, when it was put in, why it was put in.
It was put in for all Vesta Ballpark because they had to have.
Well, then it was put in more than 2 years ago.
2-3 years ago, but yes, it was.
Well, our Vest Ballpark's 10 years old.
Okay.
So we believe this, I believe, and our staff believes this is the best design for the road going forward. This is the design that I'm asking the council to move forward with so that the design can be completed. And who knows when it'll be built. But we wanted to minimize the impact of Western Trails. But we've also got folks on Deering, and I don't know how those percentages broke down, but and they probably didn't have as many responses as the folks in Western Trails did. But I know the few I talked to would rather have that in their backyard than right across the front of their house. And we felt like this was the least impact overall and plus making it the straightest, safest road and route.
Well, and I appreciate, Rick, I appreciate you asking, because the horse trail, this is a western subdivision. It's the one of its kind. It's in northwest Arkansas. It's going to now run parallel with a 4-lane highway. There has to be something that separates these two from each other.
Well, we can sure work on that in the design, and ESI will work to see what kind of options with the highway department, to see what kind of options we can come up with. We want to protect your horse trail best we can.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
Last and final thing. Why must we and I'm using the word from y'all, must we set the Arthur's property? You know, instead of dissect, you're bisecting it.
Right.
But
The alignment where Don Tyson Parkway comes into 112 needs to align with, what is that, Kissinger Road?
correct.
And there's no other way to get there but through the Arthur's property.
Oh, I understand that, but looks like there's a better alignment as far as,
Well, we've reached out to the Arthurs, and I know engineer, and got no reply, to try and minimize impact best we could. We would still be, that's absolutely true, David.
I was at the meeting, and I
No, we have reached out to you since. I've seen the letters. So if there's still time to tweak how we go through the Arthur's property, we're happy to look at that.
perfect.
Okay? Any other comment?
Yes, sir. David Arthur here, 6869 Stony Point Lane. When we met at the ballpark, and my wife has been in touch with other people since then, we asked that why couldn't you come across, as you were doing, come on the north side of Deering, go down the north side of our property, come to 112. The land directly across from there is for sale. O.F. Bailey's passed away, the house burnt, that land is for sale. When you line with Kissinger, you're going to go to the top of the hill, and when it turns 90 degrees right to the north, you're going to drop back south and go behind the rest of these houses. Why can't you go along the north property line, cross 112, make a 45, go up to the corner where you're going to drop off anyway, and continue on out?
Okay. Brad, you're familiar with the regional planning and the regional plan for Tawnytown's master street plan for Kissinger?
Yeah, the property that he's talking about is in Tawnytown, not Springdale.
Right.
We reached out to Tawnytown, asked if they plan to change their master street plan because Kissinger is a collector on their master street plan. The highway department won't want us to align. They won't want, there's a chance there may be a stoplight there. They won't want an offset there.
Right.
So we're aligning there. I talked to the public works director for Tawnytown and asked, is there a chance that it would be moved north? He said north of there, they've got terrain issues. It's already connected to 112 there. He said if there's a future alignment, it will be further back toward Tawnytown, not at 112.
Okay.
And additionally, the area that Mr. Arthur's talking about further north already floods. His wife sent us pictures, so we're going, why would we build a road in an area that already floods? The alignment that's shown is on high ground.
Okay. Thank you. So Tawnytown has no plans of changing from Kissinger as their
No.
connection to 112?
They reaffirmed they plan to use Kissinger.
Okay. Thank you.
An alignment further to the west may take place, but not at 112.
Okay.
Well, the Kissinger climbs the hill just like it would in the other, what I'm proposing anyway. Both of them are going to climb a hill to begin with. And if you go and bisect mine and put that road, what looks like going to be about 75 feet off of my front porch, my daughter lives on the backside, you'll be 30, 40 feet off of her front porch. You're still going to get into the drainage that comes out of Western Trails that flooded there, overflowed the road, and went north to the next creek. You're still in a flood zone. Either way you go, you're in a flood zone.
Okay.
And if you're going to go up one piece of road, you're going to have to tear out those folks' houses, disrupt them anyway. I still say, why not go the north property line, turn at a 45, you're still climbing a hill, just like you would be on Kissinger. You're still coming into the same corner where you're going to drop back south, according to the proposed thing by Tawnytown. It's all going to line right back up where it was. Whether it crosses 112, 200 yards north is basically irrelevant as far as flooding and the terrain it will have to climb once it crosses 112. It's the same thing in either place. Whereas if you go on the north side You're not going down through the middle of my place and putting 30 feet off of her front door, taking out an 8,000 square foot building that I use for hay storage and animal shelter, and taking out about a 2,000 square foot barn and 3 waterers that I got with the Conservation District and just put in this year, ran 2-inch plumbing for, got all that in, and then I've got a pasture in the north and the south. How do my cows get across that road? You know, as a smart aleck remark, you're going to put a crosswalk in for them? How do I get my tractors, my hay machinery? What do I do to get from one side of my place to the other? You have basically gone in there and ruined it. Because you and I both know, take a hay raker, a hay baler, or a tractor and try driving across Don Tyson into traffic. And what will happen? You will get run over.
Well, David, there's still time to try and work with you on how best to run it through your property, but it's got to come out at Kissinger because we don't control Tawnytown's master street plan, and they say that Kissinger is going to be their connection to 112, so that's where Don Tyson Parkway is going to be.
So Tawnytown, in other words, if Tawnytown would agree to what I'm saying, you guys might have a chance agreeing with it?
Well, you'd have, yeah, you'd have to hurry. Yes, sir.
All the property he's talking about.
Wait till you get up there, James, and then give us your name and address.
James Childress, I live 6847 Western Trails Drive. My house is the second house on the left as you turn in. All the property that you're tearing out where the road's going to be, I'm going to sit in my back living room and I'm going to look up about right top that wall and I'm going to see all the trucks and stuff go by. My next door neighbor, the first house, my house, the third house, and the fourth house, we're all going to sit on the back porch and we're going to look up and watch the traffic go by. I just noticed the last couple of days, big trucks are going down 112, and I'm hearing some shaking and just the noise from it. Now that all the leaves have dropped off the trees, big trucks going down 112, especially during the rush hour. I just wonder what the noise is going to be when you put that highway on top of that hill for us to look up and the noise come down from that.
Don Tyson will be no trucks. Now, that doesn't mean
Still
they don't
gonna be
get on.
noise.
That doesn't mean they don't get on there. But
now-
when we catch them, we ticket them.
But now, the first time I talked to you at the ballpark, you told me, because I asked what's going on the other side, and you said you don't care. I said, what do you mean you don't
No,
care?
I didn't
said,
say I didn't care. I said I didn't know.
No, you said you didn't care.
I don't think so.
Yes, sir, you did. You said you didn't care, that's not Springdale, and all you care about is Springdale, so you don't care about what's on the other side. That's what you told me.
Yeah.
And I'm still with them, keep it in the valley.
We're going to align, James, we're going to align
Turn it
with
up.
Kissinger because that's what the highway department's going to require us to do. We're going to align with Kissinger.
Well, then you found out something more from what you told me, because I'm sorry, but you did.
I told you
tell
that
me.
was in Tawnytown, yes.
That was in Tawnytown, and you don't care about that. You care about Springdale, and that stops at 112. So I still just don't know why you want to put, now I was told that you couldn't put it up on top of the hill, that you had to put it on top of the hill because there was like a 12-foot drop-off. And I'm like, you're going to take the road and turn it and add an extra several hundred yards to that road because your engineers can't backfill or dig their way through a 12-foot drop-off to go down through that valley? I don't know. Y'all need to figure it out, but it really needs to go in that valley.
Okay, thank you. Comments?
Ricky Stamps, Western Trail Subdivision. I have a question. Are you on a timeline to spend the federal highway money to get this built, the Don Tyson Parkway,
Not to get it built. This is for design only.
for design only?
The funding that we've received was for design only.
So you don't actually have the funds to do the road yet?
No.
And when do you anticipate finding out, and who is going to give you that money?
It will be, if it continues to be a state highway project with federal funds, built with federal funds, like we're funding the design, then it could be years. Because you get in this pipeline, and next would be property acquisition, next would be utility relocation, next would be actual construction. That could be years down the road, but we don't know.
Are the state highway people talking with you daily, or the regional planners, about what 112's future is?
All I know is the state just received the study was completed for 112 improvements, but they haven't, as far as I know, they haven't programmed money into when that will take place. There's been no design, as far as I know. We don't know what part of 112 they'll begin with when they do start construction, so there are a lot of moving pieces to this, and it's just impossible to give you a timeline.
Well,
But they are looking at 112, and, hopefully the two projects would be coordinated to some extent.
well, I'm coming to the podium to talk about safety,
Okay.
and that is extremely important. In my comments, I ask if this could be tabled until the I-49 project was complete. I would like to see a traffic flow report on 112 where people are dodging 49 because of the constant southbound traffic jams that I think will decrease to almost to nothing once the project's complete. And decide at that point, do we need a parallel road to 412 at that time? Because people are cutting through, going 112, going through Deering, cutting around there to get on 112 because they live on the west side of Fayetteville, Prairie Grove, Farmington. That's how those folks are getting home in 30 minutes instead of an hour. So I would ask that you do that and decide that, but I want to make a comment. A lot of people involved in this believe that all these decisions are being made by the city of Springdale. I would like to know who makes the final decision. Is it the Regional Planning Commission or is it you, Mayor Sprouse?
Well, it won't be Mayor Sprouse. It will be, it would ultimately be the city of Springdale, but it would have to be we're having to coordinate with the highway department on the design. They have to sign off on everything. They're involved in everything because federal money is in this project now with the design money.
Okay,
So
well,
it's more than just the city of Springdale that would have to move forward.
Well, I've learned a lot through this, and regional planners go in and tear up communities and neighborhoods, and the cities want growth, and that growth is good. I'm not saying it's not.
Right.
Your infrastructure has to be strong. I get that. But if you're going to call a public meeting and you're going to ask for public involvement, you should take the comments into consideration. You did not take them into consideration. The percentages are shown in the report that was on your website, and you attached the diagram, which is alignment A, and that is not what the majority told you that they would support.
So when we moved the alignment so that it did not impact Western Trails, we weren't listening to the comments?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the majority of people of the three choices that were given,
The three choices after the second
chose
meeting?
C,
Yes.
and you put an attachment of A.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you're impeding on Western Trails property, but right now you may be thinking a blade of grass would divide us, and that would be fine. And that's where I get into safety. I've talked about the road safety. Now I'm going to talk about a horse trail safety.
Okay.
I don't know how many of you have horses, care about horses, probably don't. But there are a lot of people in Springdale who has had farm animals, from cows, still in the middle of the city. And this subdivision was planned and the brainchild of Don Harp. And he built that thinking that it would be retained as a equestrian subdivision, and that's why everyone out there bought. And I love my neighbors on Deering Road. They're very nice people. We get along. We've met each other more due to this situation. But when there are children riding horses, and it runs parallel with this road, and the first any driver, truck driver, young youth car driver thinks it's funny, and they honk a horn, and they spook that horse, and that child gets bucked off and lands in the road or lands on the curb of the side or the sidewalk up to the highway, that is not safe. Dump trucks, and that's another thing. Can Springdale Council please define truck in the city limits of Springdale for me?
Sam, we have a definition.
A truck is any vehicle that has more than 6 wheels on the ground, with the exception of RV-type vehicles, public transportation vehicles like Ozark Regional Transit.
How many tires on a dump truck?
Well, there's more than 6 because they have 4 on the back axle, and then on the axle in front of that one is another 4, and then 2 up front, and some of them have overloads. So a dump truck is a truck, as defined by the ordinance, subject to driving in the city legally.
So they can't, a dump truck could not.
Well, they can't except for if
Deliveries.
the deliveries
Right,
doing,
right.
you know, if
But-
they're doing work on that road, then obviously they have to be able to
But
get to
not
their
use it
job
as a
site.
thoroughfare like
Right.
they do on Wagon Wheel Road.
They're not supposed to, you're right.
Well,
Okay.
Wagon Wheel Road's a truck route.
Yeah,
Well,
Wagon Wheel Road is a
exactly.
truck route.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Don Tyson is not.
Okay. All right, well, I would ask that the city strongly, if they're going to go ahead and go with the choice that the majority does not want, that you figure out, Brian, how to build a berm.
Safely.
And when I'm standing on my deck, as opposed to Mr. Childress, I'm going to be able to see 20 feet over the top of a semi. That's how high up my house is, because my property goes straight down. So there's not a fence, tree that I know of that's going to block that noise. But I would ask that you consider building the thickest, widest, tallest thing that can be built.
Okay, and we'll continue to enforce our no through trucks also. but-
And the safety for the children that ride in the neighborhood is my number one
Okay.
concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the truck part, 7-Up, Coca-Cola, Budweiser, anybody with 6 wheels, even though it says C truck on the tag issued by the state of Arkansas, by your definition, is not a truck. You said anything over 6 wheels.
Yeah.
If you have a dump truck with 1 axle, a set of duals, and a steer axle, he is allowed to go down that road. And it says on his thing, it will be a C tag due to the weight limit set by the state. And the bottom line in the middle says truck.
Okay.
Therefore, he is a truck. That's what the state says. And in my civics, federal outweighed state and state outweighed city.
Well, I guess that would be something we would need to take up. If changes need to be made in how we define a truck, then that would be an ordinance.
Well, that was just put in by one of the
would need to be-
council people, because I was here when that was voted on, and it was changed because he had a relative with an RV pulled by a dually, and technically, since it had a truck tag, he couldn't be on that road, and that's why that was passed.
Well, Sam just mentioned RVs aren't included. in
No, I said he was pulling it with a dually truck.
Yeah.
And therefore, with 6 wheels and it legally by the state says that is a truck with a C tag or B or whatever. That one happens to be C for Coca-Cola doing the weight.
Okay.
The state says that's a truck, but the city says it's not.
All right.
Why are we not doing what the state says? Because that's the power over the city, whereas like the feds are power over the state. We've stood up and told the state, say, nah, you're wrong, this is a truck.
You got anything to add to that?
I do. I mean, you could look at the state's definition of commercial vehicle or truck. We actually revisited this issue. I think it was in 2014 that we changed our definition of truck to the current definition, which is anything more than 6 wheels. Mainly because of, I believe, Don Tyson Parkway, if I remember correctly, is why we made this change. And as far as I know, I think it's worked.
Okay. Anybody else? We've got a motion and a second.
I had a question.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I'd like, and I know we don't know when the road's going to be built, but I think I'm hearing from you, at least as long as you're here, that you feel like that extension of the Don Tyson Parkway would be a no truck route.
Yes.
Even if the highway department is involved, you don't think that
They
won't have-
wouldn't be able to make us redefine that as a truck route.
Okay, so you're
I don't think.
foreseeable. You foresee it being no truck route?
Yes.
Okay,
All of Don Tyson.
all of Don Tyson. Thank you. And then the other question is, I guess, maybe, I don't know if Brian can answer this or not, but it's kind of an interesting question as to if there is a sewer there, can we build over a sewer? I don't know. Did we look at that?
We haven't surveyed, actually, because since we're just in the concept phase, but, I mean, we can adjust and, you know, move it a little further or anything. I mean, it's, number one. Number two, you could build over it depending on the depth and everything, too. It's not something we'd want to do, but we could relocate it as well.
The sewer or the road?
The sewer, or the road, either one. We're so early in the design phase that, you know,
Do you know if there's a sewer line there?
yeah, there is. There is.
In the route?
Well, it's, I mean, you're going to end up taking a 75-foot right-of-way or 100-foot right-of-way. I mean, we can adjust the road
But
within that right-of-way
at this
as well.
point, we really don't know if the sewer right-of-way actually is in part of this proposed extension.
It's between the houses, yes. But we don't, I mean, we can adjust the road or relocate the sewer, either one, and it should not be an issue.
Brian, you really could, I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't adjust the road, but you really couldn't adjust it to the south anymore, could you?
No, we won't go to the south. It'd be just adjusted to the north. But, you know, you've got, in that 100-foot right-of-way, you know, your street section's, 12-foot lanes, 4-foot, you know, you're 50 feet within that 80-foot right-of-way or 100-foot right-of-way, depending on what we end up doing. I mean, you've got green space, you've got easement, you've got all kind of stuff, so.
Yeah.
That help?
Thank you.
I just want to make sure I mean, that's the first time I'd heard that question.
Sure. Okay.
Brian, I've
Yes,
got
sir.
one question. On the north part of Western Trails, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like about 5 lots there that are going to be right on Don Tyson. I mean, from an engineering standpoint, is there things that we can do, you think, that would help create more of a barrier between?
Well, you know, you've got the trail that's going to come through, and obviously we'll try and push the road in that area as far north as we can to get it as far away from that trail as we can. You know, you can do sound walls. You can do. I mean, you know, you've seen it everywhere. I mean, there's sound walls. There's fences. There's. I mean, you can go wood fence. You can go brick column fence. You can go concrete block wall. I mean, there's plenty of options that you know, and obviously we would try to push the road, even if we're in the north part of the right-of-way, push it as far away as we can in those 4 lots.
So the actual road is about 50 feet,
Correct.
and then you'll have sidewalks on both sides. And then your additional right-of-way for green space will go outside of that. So-
Correct.
Okay.
That's up to the council.
Don't know.
The rest of Don Tyson has a median.
Don't know, but a median wouldn't add any, it wouldn't add any of the width. I mean, if you.
Well, the right-of-way would obviously get bigger.
Well, it depends on how wide your
the
median
taking
is. If you've
would.
got,
You wouldn't have
the median on Don Tyson Parkway right now is no wider than a center turn lane.
Correct.
Yeah, that'd
Correct.
make the road any wider.
Correct.
I think the median right now stops about 48th, doesn't it?
Well,
It
Yes.
stops at 48.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Any other questions?
well, and it stops at 40th Street too. Kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we
There is
didn't,
no
we didn't add the
median
median,
between 40th and Carly.
right.
Okay.
We didn't add the median when we widened that.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Okay. Roll call.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans, Reed,
yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Culver.
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
Thank you. Item 9 is Finance Committee report and recommendations. Chairman Jeff Watson. Jeff?
The Finance Committee met and Fire Department had a resolution, presented a resolution amending the 2017 budget of the City of Springdale Fire Department, and it has to do with the purchase of, help me out here, Mike. Is Mike here? It's with the vests, isn't it? And there was a grant that was provided to the city for the purchase of these vests.
Ballistic helmets and vests, 4 of them.
Helmets and vests.
Right.
So it gives-
Basically, it's applying the grant to the budget for the purchase of these. I think it's 5.
4.
Yes, so however we can finance and get the most for our money out of that. Yes, sir.
Move
Right
the
now, you have
resolution
4
pass.
vests, so this will give you a total of 8.
Give us a
8
total
vests,
of 8
8
as we try
ballistic
to
helmets.
gradually move forward with outfitting our crews with that.
Right.
Move the resolution pass.
Second.
Okay, any further comments or questions? Anyone? Okay.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Reed,
Yes.
Culver,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Fulfer,
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Carry 7-0.
All right. Let's see. Any comments from our department heads? Council? Oh, Melissa's coming. Okay.
Mine's fun, though. I just want to remind everybody of Christmas on the Creek, which will be taking place next Saturday, the 25th, downtown Springdale. There's a whole day of events planned, excuse me, but the main event, the tree lighting and the parade, that kicks off about 5:30. So go to downtownspringdale.org, and you can get the full list of events for that day. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Council? City Attorney?
I'm just reminding everybody that we are having our last budget meeting Monday night as part of the committee meeting, so please
Okay.
come with thoughts and your ideas.
5:30? Okay. Nothing from me. Got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you.